Hey, it's Tara with Reiki on the Run, and I wanted to talk today about how I manifest things. These are the bigger things in my life that I manifest because the smaller things tend to come easier if you are not really attached to the outcome. But when it's big things like jobs and lovers and all those things, then it's a little more difficult. So I'm going to kind of go over the things that I do, the processes I do when I'm manifesting something big. And I'm going to use a job as an example, only because that's come up a few times in you guys, in your comments. And so I thought that would be a good example to use. So I've done this a few times with jobs. The first time I did it, I was working for the government, and it was one of the worst experiences I've had in my life when it comes to work. I met some great people and had some fun, but as far as management goes, you can't get into a management position unless you have the time, and it's all about time in the government. And anyone who can stay any amount of time has lost their marbles, I think. No offense to anyone who's working in the government. But it was a very stressful thing. Nothing was based on merit. You can't get fired from the government, and people know it, and they abuse that. Where I worked, it was a lot, and it was a lot of backstabbing and drama, and it was just not resonating with me, and I wanted to get out. And so this is what I did, and this is 3 jobs ago, I think. But I've done this a few times to get the job that I want. So I'm going to use that as an example, but this is with anything you want to manifest. It's all the same. It's all a matter of shifting your thinking, because what you think about affects the energy you put out. So if you're thinking, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, when you think about your job, the energy you're emitting is negative and shitty, and you're not going to get a good job when your energy that you're putting out about your job or anything is shitty. So this is just going to shift your thinking, shift your vibration, and help you manifest those things. I'm going to open my door. I'm going to pause this a second because it's hot. I have long sleeves on again, so hold on. Okay, there we go. You're probably going to have to hear construction outside, but what are we going to do? So I think the most important thing to start with when you're talking about a job specifically, and this is going to be helpful for anyone in any situation. Some things I'll talk about if you already have a job, but if you don't, keep listening and we'll get to things you can do, but still be helpful. So the first thing that you need to do is become a good employee. I know sometimes when you've been at a place for a while and you aren't resonating and you feel like you've done everything you can and you're not being appreciated, or you're not, whatever, you hate your job, you're sick of everybody around you. I think sometimes we can tend to slack ourselves and we're like, well, nobody else cares, why do I care? And that's not going to be a match to your dream job or your better job, because in this scenario of wanting this better job, you're going to be a good employee. So if there's any chance that you are not being a good employee right now, you need to turn that around where you're at, first of all, even if it's something you don't want to do. But you're doing it not for them, you're doing it for you and for manifesting becoming a match, because you need to be a good employee to have a good employer. So turn that around if you've been not being a good employee. Be the best employee you can, show up on time, give it your all, be honest, all that good stuff. So first things first, be what you want to be in the future, even if it's not at the same place. Got to become a match to the thing you want. So the next thing I did was find something that you like about your job, which can be hard. Sometimes, if you really, really hate your job, that can be very hard. Um, I think at the very end of my career at the government, I was working 4 10-hour days. And so I liked that schedule. And that was one of the few things I could pick out that I liked about my job. And I would focus on that. So it's a good thing to do. There's two things to do when you start thinking about how much you hate your job. And you need to shift, because if you sit around and think about how much you can't stand your job, you need to shift that thinking, shift that negative energy. And one of the two things you do is you focus on that thing that you love. So you learn to focus, like I like my schedule. So I would sit and think, oh, I love this schedule. It's so nice to have this schedule at work. I only have to go in 4 days. I get 3 days off. And I would just get myself in the state thinking about that thing that I like, so that every time I go back to it, it kind of brings me into that frequency of something I love about my job. And so when you start thinking, I hate this place, I hate this job, I don't want to go in, that's your signal to shift. And so you want to bring your attention to um, that thing you like, and putting yourself in that good feeling. So that's gonna, it's kind of like take the edge off that anger, that annoyance, that whatever. Okay, I'm gonna shut the door now because it's really, really loud. Sorry. Okay, so the other thing that you want to do is visualization. So this is another thing you can do when you start freaking out about your job, when you start getting negative about your thing. You visualize. So you want to visualize yourself in your new job. So just take some time to just sit and think and get in that energy. It doesn't have to be a specific place. If you want to be working from home, you would imagine you working from home. If you want to be want to have great coworkers, you imagine sitting around with people that you enjoy, people who listen to your ideas, whatever it is that you're not getting, whatever it is you want. You need to take the time to visualize that, and like create a little movie in your mind, just like you would rewatch a movie if you have a favorite scene that you like from a movie, and how you can replay it in your mind. And that's all visualization is like playing a movie in your mind. But that's going to bring your energy to that place. And you do that for a few minutes, and that's going to completely shift your energy. So that's the other thing you can do when you start freaking out about how much you don't like your situation. You shift it to that thing you love about your job now, or you shift it to that visualization of having the new one. You've got to shift out of that super negative feeling that you've been engulfed in for so long, because you have to be a match to that new thing to get it. So you got to put yourself in that new frequency more than you're in the bad frequency. And it's also just good to do if you're manifesting this thing. And I talked about in the order of operations for manifesting. You want to just pick one thing at a time to do, so you're not all over the place. So it's a good idea to take the time to do that a couple times a day for 5 minutes. Just set your timer on your phone when you won't be interrupted, and just daydream about the thing you want, about the job you want, about how well it pays the bills, how much extra you have, the people that you work with, just how you feel good in going to work every day. And you want to take that time, and you want to get, like I said, into that frequency more often than you're in the negative frequency, which can be hard if you are going to work every day in a place that you can't stand. It's very hard to do, but you have to shift your thinking and your energy, or it's not going to happen. You're never going to get that thing, because you're going to stay in that energy, and as long as you're in that energy, you're going to keep getting the same. So most important thing is to shift. So another thing that I do when I am manifesting things, and I used to do this with my boys, like before we moved to Mexico, we play I'm so excited and grateful. And so we would go for walks, and we would say things. We'd each take turns. We each of us go. I'm so excited and grateful that we have our own pool and we get to swim in it whenever we want, and things like that. I'm so excited and grateful that we get to try all these new foods, and that's what we would say when we were planning our trip to Mexico. And anytime we manifest things, when we plan to do something, we play I'm so excited and grateful. And so that also puts you in that vibration. And what you want to do is you want to act like you already have it. That's where the grateful part comes in. And you want to actually feel that. You want to feel grateful. So you would say things like, I'm so excited and grateful that my new boss takes my ideas into consideration. I'm so excited and grateful that my job is so much closer to my house now. Whatever those things that you want, say that. Say that. Say it out loud. Say it to yourself. Writing it down. If you sat and wrote for 5 minutes, I'm so excited and grateful that, and then you put those things at the end, that would be huge. Just want to get in that attitude of gratitude for the thing coming, because like I've said already, you need to be a match to that thing. So nothing gets you into being a match to the thing you want more than expressing your gratitude for it. So I'm so excited and grateful. Really, really good game to play, and it's really just more, daydreaming, and that's going to get this thing to you quicker. Also important is to appreciate the small manifestations that come in your life. Everything that comes in. All right, so good. Appreciate the manifestations that show up in your life. So one that I always crack up at is if you're ever dumping something into your hand, like maybe you're doling up your vitamins for the week if you have one of those pill containers, and when you dump it out and you dump out the exact number you need, that's something that should be celebrated. That's something you should acknowledge and appreciate. Anytime you have small manifestations, anytime something goes your way, anytime you're driving somewhere and you hit all the green lights, anytime anything happens in your favor, you stop and take the time to appreciate that. You're acknowledging that things are working out for you and appreciating that they work out for you. And when you do that, you get in a state of things are working out for me, and they will continue to do so, because a lot of times it's really easy, man. It's so easy when things aren't going our way for us to get like, nothing ever works, sucks, and everything's never going my way. It's so easy to get in that, and it just snowballs. So this is a really good way to start appreciating, acknowledging manifestations, and acknowledging that you have some input in them. Because a lot of times we think that things just happen to us. All these outside forces, things are happening to us when you are creating. And most of the time when we don't realize it, we're just creating by default. And that's, no fault of your own. That's this life game. Is you come in here, you deal with all your stuff growing up and all your life experiences, and then you wake up and realize that you're creating this. You created this because these are the lessons that you wanted to live. And now that you're aware, you can stop creating by default and start intentionally creating. And that's what we're doing here by manifesting. We're intentionally creating. And it's just shifting our focus, because we've been taught and conditioned and been doing it for so many years to think that we just get shit on. Other stuff's being done to us. But now we get to take control and intentionally create. So no more default. We're going to intend everything. And so definitely appreciate those small things that work out for you. Everything that does. I mean, don't let any amazing thing be too simple to celebrate, because the more you are in appreciation, the more you are in gratitude, the more the other things will come, and the quicker they will come. So it's all about shifting your energy. That's all it is. So I have workbooks if you're interested. I have one more thing to talk about, so don't click off. But I have workbooks if you're interested that help you. It's a 6-week shift book, and you go through every day, and it gives you things to do, because sometimes you have a hard time, figuring out yourself or remembering. Super easy if you're interested. They're always linked down below. Um, the last thing that you have to do when manifesting is act. I think that's where I've talked about it before. I never saw The Secret until years after I started getting into this law of attraction and everything. And I just watched it because I felt like I should, because it was something everybody talked about. But I feel like that's something that isn't talked about enough, and that is acting, because it almost makes it seem like you can just think about the things you want and they can just pop up in your life, which, I mean, they can, but they won't all. Some things will just come into your life from thinking about them. But you do need to act. There's a law of attraction, but there's also a law of action. And if you are interested more, I have a video about the laws of the universe, which is really good and helpful in manifesting. But you have to act. You cannot get this job you want if you don't apply for a job, right? I mean, that's not totally true either, because I have been offered jobs before with just from knowing people, but that's going to be rare. So we're not going to count on that. There is a law of action, and it's inspired action. It should not be laborious, motivated action, feel like I have to action. It should feel inspired. But you can't get the job that you want if you don't apply for it. So you are going to have to, or you don't let people know that you're looking for a job, or, there's some sort of action that you're going to need to do. So don't forget to act. And whatever you're manifesting, you have to act. And I think either I've said this before, it's in one of my workbooks about I can want to make a basket in a hoop all day, but if I don't actually pick up the basket or the ball and throw it at the basket, I can't make it. So you've got to act. All right, that's it. I hope that helps kind of put things in a little box of what you can do. This is I've done this same thing with everything I've manifested since I started deliberately creating, and it works. So it's really, really just a matter of shifting that energy. And it's harder, when it's something, if you really hate your job, it's really hard to do because you have such resistance. You have such a resistance toward work in general because you hate your job. So it's really hard to shift over to, I love my job. And, positive thinking doesn't work. That's not going to work if you sit around and think, I love my job, I love my job, I love my job. Because you can say that up here and try to be all positivity, but in your heart, you can feel it. It's like, that doesn't jive. So that's why you have to shift to, I love this part of my job, and focus on that. And then when you're thinking job, you're thinking, I love this thing. And that's how you're going to shift it. So anyway, if you have any questions, if I missed anything, leave a comment and I will get to it. I will answer as best I can. And I really hope this helps. I'm excited to hear about your manifestations. I've already started hearing a little bit and it's really exciting. So I will talk to you soon.